Good evening, Year 11. Good evening, parents and carers. So unfortunately, we can't do this in person, but hopefully through this video, it provides you with some really useful information, some helpful information that's going to help you plan and then carry out your revision for science. So my name is Mr. Round. I'm head of science here at Penrice. And hopefully I can answer most questions that you may have. If not, please do ask your science teacher or get students to ask me in person if there's anything you're still not sure of after watching this video. So to start off with, I just wanted to remind everybody of the qualifications they are sitting at Penrice. So you're either going through one of two routes. Our first route is combined science, and our exam board is really important to remember. Our exam board is AQA. And so if you're trying to find any sort of revision resources through BBC Bitesize or any past papers online, we are AQA. And our combined students go through what's called the AQA Trilogy route. There is another one, but we follow Trilogy. By the end of your GCSEs, you will be getting 2 GCSEs in science. In order to get that, you sit 6 1-hour 15-minute exam papers, 2 biology, 2 chemistry and 2 physics. The other route that we offer here at Penrice is our triple science pathway, where you get 3 separate GCSEs in science, 1 biology, 1 chemistry, 1 physics. Again, you sit 6 papers, but triple scientists, you sit 1-hour 45-minute papers. So there's slightly longer papers because you've got the additional triple content. Again, though, 2 papers in biology, 2 papers in chemistry, and 2 in physics. All right, so hopefully that's just a reminder of our pathways that you'll be going through and the exam boards for when you're trying to find any sort of past papers or anything online. So revision tools that we have available, you guys have available to you, and they're available right now, the vast majority of them. Tassomai, something that we've been doing since September, and it's something we put a lot of focus on during that first term. Less so now because we want to start building on that revision and start adding in extra revision resources that are really going to start tailoring your revision. However, still really useful for that content and that regular retrieval practice of our content. It's still really useful to do. We've also then got a wealth, and I'm just going to move the icon here out of the way. There we go. A wealth of resources available. So exam support sessions, they are running every Wednesday. All Year 11 science teachers are running their exam support sessions. They are here each week for you to access those sessions. Really useful small group work looking at areas that are bespoke to classes in terms of what their classes need to improve to get better. So that's an hour a week with an expert, with a teacher, which is obviously far more beneficial than you having to do that hour on your own. Checklists I will run through in a minute. Students will be provided with those in the coming days, if not already, but I'll talk in more detail about those in a second. Revision quizzes. So certainly in my classes, and I know in other classes, we are setting like 9-10 question weekly quizzes, and they're there just to keep that knowledge going, that content going from not necessarily content and skills that we're covering in lesson time, but things that we did back in September and October time, just to keep those fresh in our mind. So they're happening each week. Past papers, we will use lots of past papers and lots of past paper questions during lesson time. There are some available on the AQA website as well, and we are more than welcome to ask us to print you off any, but we do use them a lot in lesson time so that we can help guide you and prepare you and give you the exam technique that's going to make you really successful at answering those questions. Revision videos, people will laugh, students will laugh, but you've got some really good ones out there. Free science lessons. He might sound a bit monotone and a bit dull, but his content is on the point, on the money, and really kind of succinct. But there's other revision channels out there as well, all via YouTube. Some students learn better like that. So there's lots and lots of revision materials that you can access right now. Okay, the one I want to spend a little bit more time talking about is checklists. because they're something that's going to help really focus and target your revision. So in order to get the most out of revision, you need to get yourselves one of these revision guides. So the ones you can see on the screen are for combined science, triple scientists. You have the green, the sort of bluey purple one, and then the orangey one for biology, chemistry and physics. The combined ones look like this: the darker ones for your higher tier and the lighter ones for foundation. If you haven't got one, please do make every effort to get one. They are available from the Penrise shop, and this isn't me kind of like putting an advert out there. Please buy from the Penrise shop, but they were on there at a far cheaper price than if you went into a high street store. Okay, so get yourselves equipped with those revision resources. Checklists, they look a little bit like the one you can see on the screen here. Okay, and what we've got here is I have taken out all of the bits that you do not need to know. So we have been provided by AQA, by our exam board, with a list of topics that will not be on this year's assessments, and they've done that to factor in the fact that you guys in year 11 have had a significant disruption throughout year 9 and year 10 due to the lockdowns. So to kind of factor that in, we've been provided with a list of topics that will not be on this year's exam, and I've taken those off the checklist so that everything on the checklist you still need to revise. All right. And also the other thing that you've got this year is that you don't have to memorize all the equations in physics, whereas in previous years there was those 21 equations that you needed to learn, but you don't need to do that this year. So in order to use the checklists effectively, you've got those revision guide page numbers, which is why I spoke about those just a second ago. You've also then got a column here which has got priority rank. And the first thing I would do is, if I'm sitting down and planning out my revision, is I would work out what it is I actually need to revise. Because when you sit down and you've got not just science, but you've got your maths, your English, what other subjects you do, and you're thinking, I've got lots to revise in science, but I've also got lots to revise in math. You need to break that down and chunk that somewhere. Otherwise, it's going to become very overwhelming for you. So lots of this you will not need to revise. You may well sit there and think, I know all there is to know about light and electron microscopes. I remember it really well, so I do not need to revise that one. So I'm going to put that as a priority rank of 1, for example. I might have a quick look at it nearer the time, but I don't need to spend much time revising it. On the other hand, you might think osmosis, I cannot remember what that is at all. I haven't got a clue what that's on about. So I'll put that as a rank of 3. And that means you obviously need to spend more time revising it. You then might have some that are in the middle, your 2s you need to spend a little bit of time on, but not as much as the 3s. By going through that process, you'll then come up with a list of, and you'll be automatically planning what you need to focus your revision on. Okay. Just as a sort of added extra information, the ones that are highlighted in red, those are the required practicals. So RP stands for required practicals. All right. So checklist, really, really beneficial. If you do not have one, you didn't receive one, please ask your science teacher. All right, that's going to help you massively. First of all, understand what you need to revise, and secondly, plan your revision. Okay. It's all to do with the fact that as humans, we kind of like to be within our comfort zone. We like to revise and we like to work on, and we like to do the things that we find easy, that we're good at, because that obviously helps us make us feel good and makes us feel really confident if we're just working on something that we know we can already do. But that's not going to push you forward. That's not going to make your science knowledge and your science skills better. To do that and to make you as successful as you can be in science, you need to revise outside your comfort zone, which is where those checklists come in. Outside your comfort zone are those topics that you find difficult, those topics that you cannot remember much about, and that's what you need to focus your revision on. So make sure you do spend the time working on those areas that you're less confident with, whilst also remembering, you still need to remember the other stuff as well. So I kind of think there's three main steps on how you revise. So this is after you've used the checklists, after you've made your plan, you've worked out what you need to revise and in what order by using the checklist, using your priority ranking. So the first stage is that you need to kind of remind yourself of what it is. Okay, so I call it the uploading the knowledge. So go to your revision guide, go to your book from school, go to BBC Bite Size, and just remind yourself. For example, what's photosynthesis? What's the equation for photosynthesis? And just read through the information, review the knowledge, review what it is you need to remember. Okay. Then the next step is really important. You then need to process that information. It is no good you just sat there with a revision guide in front of you and reading the page to do with photosynthesis, for example, or going on BBC Bitesize and just reading the page on BBC Bitesize, or just loading up a YouTube video about photosynthesis and just watching it. Okay, you have to process that information. Your brain has to be actively involved. Otherwise, if it's just being passive and you're just reading something, you get to the end. I've read loads of times, I've read a page in a book and I've got to the end of it and thought, what on earth have I just read? So in order to actively engage your brain, you need to make some sort of a revision resource using the knowledge from the revision guide page, the YouTube video, etc., etc. Flashcards are an excellent example. They don't work for everybody, but they're an excellent example. Mind maps also really useful. Little sketch maps, as some people like to draw little icons. Whatever works for you. So, for example, a flashcard about the equation for photosynthesis, on the front of it, you would write what is the equation for photosynthesis, and then on the back you would write the answer, like the word equation, the symbol equation. Okay. You then need, there's a third and final step, which is also really important. It's then sort of downloading the knowledge. It's proving that that revision has worked. So getting your friends, getting your family to help you remember by testing you. So if you've got that flashcard, give them your flashcards from your revision and say, right, test me. They'll go, right, what is the equation for photosynthesis? What are the limiting factors of photosynthesis? Why do plants photosynthesize? All they can ask you those questions that you've put on those flashcards. Or you can give them your mind map and they can just ask you little questions from it. But get them to test you in some way. Otherwise, you don't know if your revision has stuck and you don't know if your revision has been successful. All right. So sort of key takeaway messages from me in science revision. Number one, if you're not sure, please ask. Please ask me. Please ask your science teacher. We are here to help you. We are here to guide you. Number two, make sure you make the most out of the resources that are available. So that means get yourself a revision guide. Make sure you've got those checklists. If you haven't got one or you lost one, please ask your teacher. They will get you another one. Okay, make use of them because they're going to help you plan your revision. And then number three, don't just read the information or watch the YouTube videos and kind of hope that it goes into your brain. Go through the steps I've just highlighted, those three stages, okay, and you will be really successful in science. All right. As I said, any further questions, anything I've not kind of covered, or you've still got some unanswered questions, please do get in contact. I'm more than happy to help out. Okay, thanks.